The joint piece that Mark and I did was kind of spurred by a picture that was posted from Quicken about their incoming intern class for, I guess, this summer, and the lack of diversity in that picture, the lack of presence and participation of Black people and of people of color all around. And so Mark and I have been talking about it, and we decided to do a joint piece and not only talk about the problem, but also recommend, a few suggestions, because people are looking like, okay, we want to do something. What do we do?
Yeah. Mark, your work is about opportunity, getting opportunity for people who typically are left out of it. Talk about sort of why we have this persistent problem with this in a city that is more than 80% African American.
That is the million-dollar question, because we've been talking about this for quite a while. And why in the city of Detroit, 80% African American, to your point, do we still have a significant gap? I think at the end of the day, what it boils down to is still getting the right people at the table. We have to get people at the table. And if we can get people at the table at the senior level positions, really get them engaged in strategic planning process, get them engaged in recruiting process, identify a strategy that's focused on getting into the community, getting the organizations involved, engaged in the community with the consumers at hand, so to speak, that will help this process. This will help this issue.
Trina, this is not the first time that we've heard people level some criticism at Quicken Loans and the other companies that Dan Gilbert owns about diversity. Respond to the criticism of this photo, first of all, and the intern class, and then talk about some of the things that you guys have been doing to try to address those criticisms.
Yes, no, I appreciate the platform, and I also appreciate the feedback. One is, serving as the Chief Diversity Officer. I've been at the organization for 3.5 years, and it was our team members before I started that made the business case for 100% of someone's time, treasure, and effort to be focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I have to tip my hat to our team members to raising that up to our senior leadership team of the Y. The second thing is, throughout this journey that we've been on, this intentional journey, I would say, mistakes will happen. And I don't call this marketing intern, because I want to be clear, that wasn't reflective of our entire intern class. It was for the marketing team, and it was a true picture. It says to all of us that we have a lot of work still to do. And so in our intentional effort in this space, I can give you what we've been working on, but I also have to be very transparent that it's not going to flip its head overnight. And so holding our team members and our leaders accountable is really where we are. And how we've been able to do that have been a few things. One is in response to George Floyd's murder, we doubled down on our efforts around racial inequity. And really, it started inside out. Cleaning our own house is what we've been calling it. Starting first with our leaders and our senior most leaders, so that we can have introspective review of how we show up every day, decisions that we make, how we include in equity, inclusion, and diversity in every decision that we make. So as we've created this strategy around racial inequity, our lens has been keenly focused on the following things: recruiting, leadership development, team member engagement, and government affairs, so the things that relate to homeownership, the things that relate to becoming a loan officer and the requirements that are at a federal level and how can we influence that, our communication with law enforcement, engagement in that space, and then lastly, our communication with our team members. And so, I don't have an excuse for you. I have what we are planning to do and how we are moving forward in that space. I think that to address specifically the marketing intern class, I think that we've unpacked a few things. One is we know that we need to be first accountable for the top of our funnel and where our talent leads coming from. We've been very intentional about our engagement with historically Black colleges and universities. Once we get those students and we collect those resumes, how are we holding the hiring leaders accountable for that? We need to bring awareness and understanding the business imperative around why diverse perspectives are important to our bottom line. And I think that bringing awareness to the why first is so important. So we had to focus on inclusion. Why is inclusion so important? Yes, we're in the Blackest city in the United States of America, but we need to have people understand why that's so important to us and our bottom line here as it relates to our efforts in the city. And so that awareness is what we've been working on. And now we're at a point where we're holding our leaders accountable.